That tire advantage is not nothing, though, guys, as we see Joseph Newgarden on the outside of Felix Rosenquist. Moves that shell car. Oh! Felix in the wall, big time.
This is going to be a big hit right here. I don't know if he's going to keep it out of the turn 2 wall. Oh, no!
Kirkwood! Ooh! Kirkwood upside down!
Guys, this will be a red flag, almost certainly. Huge impact.
There's Kyle Kirkwood, acknowledges the crowd. This will decipher what happened. Right-hand side of your screen is Rosenquist. Newgarden goes around him, getting a little high.
Yeah, when the car in front of you comes down, it takes a bit of the air off your front wing. You lose some front grip. Joseph left him some room on the bottom. It's not like he took all the racetrack, you see that, but Felix just getting in the dirty air, and then, yeah. Once you hit that
point, that right front steering arm is broken, and he can't steer the car. He's out of control and just a passenger. And here comes Kyle Kirkwood, almost avoids it as the left rear comes off. And a vicious crash for Kirkwood. Cockpit first along the safer barrier.
And stacked up behind him with Joseph Newgarden, third to first. You see them 2 wide scrambling. Maybe a dive down into 2 there from Connor Daly on Scott Dixon.
Watch Santino Ferrucci and Alexander Rossi on the back straight. Rossi's in the orange car. Ferrucci goes to the high side. These two did not like each other in practice on Friday, and Ward goes to the front.
Award on the inside of Magnus Eriksson and spins! Pato Award has crashed out of the Indianapolis 500.
That was a wild ride for Pato Award. Thought about going to the inside, came up, went back down for a late move. Other cars involved, Augustine Canapino moving slowly, and it looks like one of the Meyer Shankage. Oh! No control, obviously, for Canapino. Hits the stopped car of Pato Award. Carnage in 3.
Simon Pagenaud is the pink and white Meyer Shank car. Canapino comes to a rest next to Award.
There's Simon Pagenaud, 2019 winner of the Indy 500. Is Meyer Shank Honda to a stop. Oh boy. We said it was going to be an 8-lap sprint. Right.
You see that late pop out. He faded to the right, then dives back left. He goes all the way into the grass hounds, and you saw his left sides hit the dirt.
Look at the save from Eriksson,
so high.
I'm pretty sure there was contact right front to Eriksson's left rear, and Eriksson did a beautiful job to save it. Here's a tight shot of Award.
He didn't clip the back of Wilson's car. Remember we talked about how close you had to get?
Got a broken front wing.
Look at this as everybody scrambled up as Pagenaud slips back into the field. 2 abreast coming out of 4. Trouble! Hard crash.
First car in line, Coletti.
Saavedra, Coletti. There's Saavedra.
So he's moving his hands inside the cockpit, about ready to raise his visor.
And Jack Hawksworth, the 3rd car involved.
Look how he's wadded up the back end of that.
But these cars have become so good from the period of time that you and I drove, Eddie. They've got these new cars out here the last couple of years. The IndyCar series has spent so much time on the monocoque, as they call it, the cockpit of the car. It's built like a jet fighter. And these cars, when they look like they're constructed as they are built to compress, to absorb all the impact. As we see him step out of the car and the crowd giving a round of applause.
This is the safest the series has been. Open wheel racing has ever been at Indy.
There's Sebastian Saavedra, who hit not only the outside, the contact with the other cars, but hit the inside wall also.
In his first crash also.
Bottom of the screen, Hawksworth
might have hit the car in front of him, and that caused him to spin.
I think he did actually make contact with, I believe that's Saavedra, and sent them both going into the wall. See, Saavedra still got his foot on the gas because he knows he's going towards the wall, so he put his foot on the gas, try and make the tires spin to lessen the impact at the last moment, then put his foot on the brakes. But that is a hard hit. That's just the mistiming from the 41 Jack Hawksworth and that ABC machine just clipping the back of Saavedra.
And what's really good is all the cars stayed on the ground.
In the car that you saw going up over Saavedra, that was Coletti in the number 4 machine.
Now the best thing about this accident is they keep on moving and that energy keeps getting dissipated. The worst sort of an accident you can see is one where you just hit the wall and you stop. As they keep on rolling, they're getting rid of all of that energy that's obviously again, the safer barrier did its job.
So great racing up front, but look at all those bits and pieces scattered around on the track after the crash in the back of the field. And it's going to
But
require...
it's Scott Dixon for Chip Ganassi Racing that'll see the green flag first. Let's go. Takuma Sato is not too far behind, and Alexander Rossi as well. Oh! Pick up the rookie. There's a spinner.
Connor Daly spins and
big
hard hit for, I think,
Oliver Askew.
Oliver Askew lost it in the smoke, and that was a massive hit.
That was nasty.
So it was panic in the back when Connor Daly lit it up and lost it. And then you can't, I would imagine, Townsend, that the smoke he probably couldn't see.
Well, but he was, I mean, he was so fast onto the scene. I'm not sure if Connor Daly was hit or what happened. Is the AMR team quick to tend to Askew, get the fire out on the right rear?
That was a big hit.
Wow, that was a vicious angle, too, that he came darting off of turn 4.
Not to bring up bad subjects, Danica, but you've had accidents where you just go straight towards the wall. I've actually never had one, and you're just a passenger, and you're like, oh my God, this is going to be a big one.
Speed at which he darted across.
So here we go. Connor just loses it on the power. He's down way low. Lots of smoke. He's got the throttle wide open. And in the back here, I don't really know I don't know if he got touched, but bang, side slap, pancake the wall.
Thank goodness for the safer barrier. Thank goodness for the safer barrier.
I wonder if
Connor
got his left front onto that apron that caught out Alonso in practice.
Yeah, I think it might, Townsend, it was maybe just trying to get squared up to get it running on that concrete. We got a great view right here if he touched that concrete. Yeah, he's on the concrete.
Yep.
So on the concrete, it jacks weight in the car, and you're full power, and he loses it, keeps the throttle buried. But it'll be interesting to see if we can get an angle if Askew got turned by somebody because of the way the trajectory was where he went towards the inside.
The view from Zach Veach and the Gainbridge on board.
There goes Connor. Beach to the high side, but we still don't really see what happened with Askew.
Askew was fast arriving on the scene behind Elio Castro Neves and Simon Pagenaud. Look down to the bottom left. He just took evasive action.
Yeah, he just got caught in the smoke and didn't know where the car was. You couldn't see it. I couldn't see it even with the camera, the high angle, and he just was trying to avoid it. And,
yeah, that was Rodney Klossmeyer out of Hempstead, Texas, and he was the fueler. Oh, trouble on the track, guys. A huge crash on the track here at Indianapolis. Our second caution has come out, and it looks like it is Mike Conway and Will Power involved. So no sooner does Conway get back out on the track than he is involved in a major incident here with Will Power. So Power, who had a 3-race win streak here on the series and hoping to get his first Indianapolis 500 win, is not going to have it happen today.
He has always had a hard time here at the Speedway, but that is just a very good example of that probably or shouldn't have happened. It all started with a bad pit stop, Scott, didn't it?
And then you think about that when you get up on the track. We have to see what made this accident happen. But, you know, when you think about the drivers having the crash, they're in the car, they're moving. I think about Will Power. His wife, Elizabeth, actually works for a team here, Dreyer and Reinbold team, and does the PR work for Oriole Service. So she's busy in the pit lane here. When she sees that there's an accident on the track, she said, I always look to see if it's my husband.
Both drivers are okay.
Both are out. Let's take a look and see exactly what happened.
see Conway's now come out of the pit lane. He's actually slow on the track. It looks like he's having problems with the car, Eddie. It's just loose on him. And you know something? Will Power's coming from behind. He is just going to end up taken out.
He had nowhere to go. Will Power had absolutely nowhere to go. And look how the car turns into the worst angle that a car can take.
Well, just remember a few years ago, this exact spot where Conway had his crash a couple of years ago when he rode up and over Ryan Hunter-Reay. So the car hit the wall, comes out, and then you see the Verizon machine of Will Power just slice underneath it a little bit. And for Conway, he's riding up on the top of the wall, Eddie, and luckily the car comes back down, as we call it, on all four, obviously wheels missing, but a ride that Mike Conway certainly does not want to take, and probably relived a little bit of what happened to him 2 years ago.
And we want to remind everybody watching this horrific accident that turned out with no drivers getting hurt, that these are brand new cars that have been engineered to make sure they are much safer in impacts like this, and it did everything it was expected to do. That whole accident...
Seconds behind. There's Weldon on the top of your screen. He's letting everybody go by. He's doing everything he can to save fuel. And Weldon, can he close? It's 3.6 seconds as they head through one. Oh, we've got a crash. Oh, a wicked crash involving two cars at least.
He's won it.
He's going to win it.
Franchitti has won it.
Ryan Hunter-Reay involved in this.
Take the warm-up lane.
I could not see who else was involved from our angle. One side, and there is what's left of Mike Conway's car. And he is still in the car. The safety crew has got his helmet off. All right, let's go back and show you what happened here.
And that car is certainly destroyed, but you can see Mike moving inside the car. He's going on the inside of Ryan Hunter-Reay. This reminds me almost of Dan Weldon's crash here in turn 3 and 4 quite a few years ago. And the car is up into the fence, which is almost reminiscent of Kenny Brack's accident at Texas quite a few years ago, guys. Very, very lucky.
You know, he was incredibly lucky that he did not go head into that fence. That is a horrible impact. Wow.
All right, let's go on board from Elio Castroneves' point of view.
See, Mike was trying for some reason to go on
heads
the
up.
inside.
Wow, he almost collected Anna Beatrice. Now from Ryan Hunter-Reay's car.
So you can see that he got hit on the inside and up over the top, and you can see Ryan Hunter-Reay moving his hands, and he looks up in front of him and he goes, gosh, I can't believe that.
Oh, wow. A level of aggression that's only going to grow the later in the race we get.
But Alan, the level of danger.
Caution, trouble, Ed Jones. Off of turn 2. Last year, such a spectacular performance as a 500 rookie, qualified 11th, finished 3rd. Said this year, everyone's been chasing a feeling that just doesn't exist in this car, myself included. That's not the feeling you wanted.
I was trying to finish a sentence before that accident happened, saying the level of danger trying to get past cars in those first 2 laps or first 4 or 5 corners is way higher than when it's just a battle one-on-one with somebody else. Because there's so many things that can go wrong. Now I'm looking forward to see what happened, because the tires are the inside tires that are broken, not the outside tires.
So Jones out of his car, walked away toward the top of the screen. Wow.
Oh, that's just loose. It's gone by the middle of the turn. He's not around anybody. When the back end comes around like that, it's called oversteer. So we're not sure if something broke or if the car was just loose going in to create that oversteer. But now on board, let's ride along and listen.
Wow.
I'm starting to wonder, guys, if maybe something didn't break there, because it was just a very quick little movement in the car. Either that or a very loose race car, and that's when the back end wants to come around, like I mentioned. And you become the passenger, Eddie, at that point in time, and very early in the race. Very disappointing.
He was in a lot of dirty air and very low on the track when that happened.
Next, solid stop for Connor Daly. One thing they've had trouble with today.
Oh, Callum Ilott, big crash inside at the exit of turn 2.
The Juncos Hollinger rookie is out of the Indy 500. Oh boy. So another one of the youngsters in the field crashes out in spectacular style as Alex Palou made it to pit road.
Hey, Diff, he entered the pits when it was closed. They told him to drive by, so we have to watch what happens here with Alex Palou. He didn't catch the light. He came in when pit road was closed.
That's exactly what happened to Scott Dixon last year on the initial stop. Good to see Callum Ilott, the young British driver.
Just loses it. Looks a lot like Rinus VeeKay in a very similar spot.
Much earlier in the corner, it seems like he lost the back end, got all the way around, on board from Christian Lundgaard right now, not knowing which way to go, trying to keep his own car from spinning out, hitting debris. Have to worry about a puncture now from that sharp shards of carbon fiber.
Romain Grosjean crashes out of the Indianapolis 500.
Another massive hit. Is that at the exit of turn 2?
I believe it is.
Turn 2.
It's got all 3.
Has really been a handful today.
Yeah, I think these winds are really picking up, Townsend. That's late in the tire stint, right? You're really losing the grip in that tire. The car's starting to slide around more in that dirty air. Track temp at 115 degrees now as we see Romain get out of the car. So these are the toughest part to hold on to.
Well, it's the end of the stint. And just a couple laps maybe until Grosjean was coming into the pits. And let's take a replay and try to figure out exactly what the driver of the 28 was dealing with. And like we've seen from VeeKay and Ilott, the two drivers that crashed earlier, the rear end just steps out in traffic, and that is a massive left side hit as you see suspension arms, steering arms, big pieces of debris going down the racetrack.
View from Graham Rahal.
There's Dixon, and then Tony Kanaan. On board with Tony. If he wants a shot, he's got to get some help up front. He's too far back right now. Next time by, the white flag.
I think Sato's in the capper position now.
Time it right. You have to time it right. Everybody's standing, listen to the crowd.
White flag is out. Dario Franchitti takes the defensive line into one. Sato taking a peek.
Inside. Keep going. Keep going, buddy. Yellow.
The yellow is out.
Should have waited till coming out of 2. We talked about that.
We talked about his patience. And for the third time in his career, Dario Franchitti's going to win the 500, and all 3 times it's going to be...
Franchitti started to go low. I thought he'll just pull up and stay there. But he gets in there and he starts to force the movement into there.
White line.
And Dario stuck. Wow. Eddie, Dario stuck on the outside, which was amazing because he was out in the gray area.
Let's check in with Rick de Bruyne.